Welcome to the Talk to Me Michele podcast. We want to hear from you. Whether you're intrigued by our deep dives into our topics or have thoughts on our latest episodes, we value your opinion. Call our hotline, share your insights, reactions, or even suggest topics you'd love us to cover next. We're all ears. Your voice matters, and you can remain anonymous if you prefer. Your messages could be featured in future episodes, so don't miss out on this chance to be part of the dialogue. Leave us a voicemail at 832-463-0525.
Talk to me, Michele, on the street lights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat, don't ignore me.
Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me Michele. I am your host, Michele, and we are back with another intriguing topic. So if you have not subscribed to the podcast, do me a favor. Could you please do that right now? Just subscribe to the podcast. And if you have subscribed, thank you again. And please take a moment out of your day just to rate and review the podcast. Okay, I appreciate that feedback. I want to get to this quick impersonation someone did of me before I get to the topic. Mookie G, who's a comedian, also a client that I'm managing. I do not appreciate on his podcast, Mookie Talking Dookie. I was mentioned in a good manner, but see, he started trying to talk like me. Now, he said he wasn't purposely trying to imitate the way I talk.
My manager, Michele, has gotten on me. She's like, hey, you got to change up your podcast. She's even, introduced a couple things to me that I need to add into the podcast. She's like, hey, you need to come up with a list of what you're going to talk about because you be all over.
Now, I know I have a deep voice, but he had me sound like a transvestite. I ain't going to even lie. So I'm like, I don't appreciate that, Mookie G. I don't appreciate it. I told him every time he says something about me, I'm going to talk about his ass on each episode I have on my podcast. So I'm sorry, y'all. I had to have my petty moment. It's out of my system. Today, we will be discussing polygamy, the ins and outs on multiple partnerships. So what made me want to discuss this topic is because it does come up when I'm talking to my girlfriends, people on social media discuss it. And I've also seen couples that have multiple partners that are on social media. So I also used to watch a show called Big Love. That was an HBO series back in the day. And it was a real good series. I never really got into the TV show Sister Wives, but I am aware of it. But it kind of gave us a glimpse of what polygamy is supposed to be. The punchline is I hear all these men online talking about how they want multiple women. How they can, and that's a fantasy. Y'all thinking about like the Big Daddy Kane album cover where he was sitting in the throne and had these women surrounding him, feeding them grapes. That is not what, this is why I want to have this conversation, because I need to bring some reality to the table when it comes to this topic. So we're going to go into the world of polygamy. So let's get into some insightful and eye-opening discussion on polygamy. Now, the definition of polygamy is the practice or condition of having more than one spouse at the same time. And it could take a lot of different forms. Now, we know of polygamy, one man who has multiple wives. Now, I also learned about the term polyandry, and that's when one woman has multiple husbands. Polygamy has been practiced in various cultures, societies, throughout history. I mean, it's been out here for a long time. And also continues to be practiced in some regions today. So, in some cultures, some kids are used to coming home to multiple mamas and multiple daddies. And I've even heard there are some group marriages. Now, I'm not going to even get into the group marriages because, for me, dealing with one man's enough. I cannot, because it takes a lot of energy to make a relationship work. And I couldn't imagine having multiple partners, maybe multiple wives, because that would take a little bit off. But I'm selfish. I don't like sharing. That's just how I am. So we're going to get into all the different forms of polygamy. Now, we know the general term of polygamy, but prevalence is also another common form of polygamy. It's historical and it is current. It's practiced in various cultures, mainly parts of Africa, the Middle East, and among some religious groups. For example, like a man has 3 wives. He got 3 women now. But don't be thinking it's all this, catering thing, because he's got to come up on his end. Being married to multiple women, they all got to have everything across the board. Each wife has to have her own household, and the husband divides his time among each household. So do y'all get that? It ain't just y'all living in a barn and a bunch of women are on the floor. The man gets the mattress and y'all all cater to him. So let me erase that theory out of all the male species heads right now. Now, polyandry, a whole new ball game for me, because this is where one woman is married to multiple men at the same time. My sister and I were just discussing this case. There's a woman that we read about in Africa, and she has a marriage to 2 men who are brothers. You could Google that. I'm telling you, brothers that settled to share one woman. Now, struggle with me while I try to announce this group marriage situation when it comes to polygamy. It's called polygamy. That's the word. That's for group marriages. I was just like, y'all, why don't y'all just go to a swingers club or something? But no, it's a form of polygamy where multiple men and multiple women form a single marital unit. That means all members considered married to each other. Can you imagine having to come home and answer to like 5 different spouses? I know some people that don't want to even answer to one. But y'all got multiple spouses you got to answer to. Everybody is in this link together as a group. That is too much energy for me. I'm sorry. It overwhelms me thinking all the energy exchange in that type of marital situation. That's a lot. It's rare, but they out there. But I'm going to have to just say, hey, I'm pass on that. So just visualize like 3 men and 3 women that are living together in a single household. And they're all sharing the same responsibilities, the finances, and child rearing as a collective unit. So it also gives me like a Jim Jones vibe here. I'm sorry. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this. But there are people that do live that lifestyle, and I say, God bless you. I can't do it. All right, let's do a comparison with monogamy and other relationship structures. So you have monogamy, and that's a relationship structure where an individual has only one partner at a time. That don't include no side chicks, side dudes, work husbands, work wives. No, you are committed to one person. Now, this is mostly practice, of course, and legally recognized as a relationship structure in many parts of the world, especially in Western societies. One partner at a time. You cannot be greedy. The advantages of monogamy is the paperwork, the legal matters. Do you understand you're only dealing with one person in all these different scenarios? It's clear lineage and inheritance. It's easier to manage emotionally, financially. Dealing with something simple in structure. I'm only dealing with all these situations with one person. That's it. Now, it can lead to infidelity, and it may not fulfill all the emotional or sexual needs for some individuals. So you do have other relationships that offer that, but I don't know of too many people that are into open relationships. Now, we've all heard Sister Monique discuss her relationship with her husband, Sydney, as open. I'm not sure if that offer is still on the table, because I know that there were some times early in their marriage that I'm aware of, I could be wrong, that they kind of shut the door on that. And if they did, that's their business. But having an open relationship is definitely going to be, it's going to be challenging, because it's supposed to be like a monogamous relationship, and you and your partner are agreeing to have sexual or even romantic relationship with other people. Now, monogamous relationship where the partners agree to have sexual or romantic relationships outside of their union, so they're both agreeing to that. But I'm sure there's some fine print somewhere. You can't just sit up here and let a child go in the candy store and let him go. You can't let go of his hand. He is going to go crazy. So you got to have some type of structure if you're going to have an open relationship. But it's still stigmatized because a lot of people don't understand the purpose of why get married when you have the option to still see other people and be intimate with other people. So, I mean, if you in an open relationship, you definitely got to have strong communication skills, clear boundaries, and mutual consent. See, I think that's where those three highlights of the open relationship, I think we're definitely going to have to put that in play because sometimes you may get greedy and I can't stand this heifer, but you wanted to have a little thing with her. So no, I'm not going to give you permission on that one, but you do it anyway. That's a problem. Okay. So you have to also have fulfillment of diverse sexual and emotional needs, reduce pressure on one another, for one partner to meet one need, because I'm telling you right now, I've never seen a generation, and this includes the people in my generation, be so open. And I mean, like I said, if you have a sexuality desire, definitely go out there, tap it out and everything else. But I'm seeing a lot more younger people that are doing some of everything. I mean, sex with a donkey on the table. I'm just telling you the things I've seen and heard. And I'm like, well, damn, I have no idea why that would be a curiosity of yours, but you knock yourself out alone. So you're going to have real high levels of trust and communication, and there is going to be some potential for jealousy. Don't sit up there and tell me that, okay, just because we got an open door, that I am not going to get in my feelings about you being fond of one particular person that you connecting with outside our marriage. You know what I mean? Because there's an emotional connection sometimes, and the spouse that you are with, they're going to be like, okay, you don't do that for me. Why are you doing that for them? You see, that's just a simple situation right there. I don't even want to get knee deep into that. Now, the origins of polygamy, they've been out there. We got ancient societies like the Middle East, Africa, Asia. All of them are in the mix. You can find these things in a lot of religious books that this been going down for a while. Okay. Now, the religious influence does include Islam and Mormon. So this is like way back in the day. We talking about, in Islamic culture, they permit a man to have up to 4 wives, provided that he does treat them all equally, and it continues in some cultures. And Mormons, since the 19th century, Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, I'm telling you, they practice polygamy. It was officially, though, discontinued back in 1890, but I'm just telling you, it's on the books. Now let's get into the modern shifts of polygamy, because, again, what motivated this conversation is that I was on a live, and there was a young man on this live, and when I tell you, like, a raggedy version of Scooby-Doo, and he was living in one spot. I don't know how many women he got, how many children he got, but that's how they were living. Everybody getting benefits. And I'm just like, okay, so when I see something like that, he doesn't need paper to tie him to anybody as a legal partner. He's just going to be, living his best life out here. But that is not the way polygamy works. See, a lot of people want to make their own rules, but they don't want to do the research or do the work when it comes to polygamy. So there are shifts like legal restrictions, because in many parts of the world, polygamy has been restricted or banned due to changing social norms, legal frameworks. Because y'all already know, everybody getting their feelings about anything, especially when it don't involve them. So let's just say of a relationship or a marriage that has multiple spouses, partners, whatever, and you getting your feelings about it and you want to blow the whistle on them. First of all, it's none of your business. It's not your bedroom. But it is illegal. Now, despite these legal restrictions, polygamy continues in various forms in some cultures and religious communities. So don't be surprised you do run across that type of set. Hey, we all together. That's the set you're going to be running into. Now, let me get to the good part. How does polygamy work? Let's discuss the roles and the responsibilities. So I want people who are on social media talking about they're going to have this kind of set. This is how you have to set it up if you're going to have a polygamous relationship, if you can get by the legal restrictions. Number one, the husband or even having multiple husbands. They are the provider. They're often seen as the primary provider for the family. They're responsible for earning the income, ensuring the financial stability of the household. Do you understand what I just said? The husbands are the providers. They're also the mediators. In families with multiple wives, the husband may need to act as a mediator to, manage the relationships or any conflicts among his wives, because you already know somebody is fighting. Somebody is in their feelings about something. Somebody didn't do something right. So, yeah, he has to mediate all that and bring it down to a close. And he's also the leader. He's usually regarded as the head of the household, making major decisions for the family and guiding overall direction. And he's supposed to be supportive. He's expected to provide emotional support. Not just financial, but emotional support. And ensure the well-being of all the wives, all the children. So I want men to realize that's all on you in that situation. The wives have different responsibilities and play different roles, of course. They got the household management. They often share and divide all the responsibilities, related to managing the household. That means everybody going to be pitching in with cooking, cleaning, making sure the home is good. Now, when it comes to the children and who takes care of the children, the wives. They are playing a significant role in raising the children. That's daily care, their education, and their emotional support. Now, although the husband has to have emotional support for all of his wives and children, the wives have to provide emotional support for each other. Because I can see where that is a major important thing, because as women taking on so many different roles, especially in today's modern world, women got a lot on them. I know men have a lot on them as well, but I'm speaking from a woman's perspective again. Now, depending on how the family is financially, the wives may also have to contribute financially by working outside the home or starting a family business. It's one of those things that basically everybody got to have five on it. Everybody got to contribute. Now, the children, they, belong to these huge families, so they have a larger support system, multiple parental figures, and siblings to rely on. I can only imagine how many brothers and sisters are in the mix of that household. Woo, Lord. I hope they got enough bathrooms. Now, the chores, they got that. That's their responsibility around the house, contributing to household chores and helping care for their younger siblings. The education-wise, they are like, monogamous families. They attend school and participate in social activities together. Same thing. It's just a larger family. Other challenges can, come into play as well. Your resource allocation. How are the resources being managed? Things like money, time, attention. You got to put that on a calendar for real when you're in a situation like this, because everybody has got to get a certain amount of your time. So that's what every wife, every husband, every child. I know they got a lot of group activities going on, because I'm telling you, I'm going to see all y'all at once. We're going to meet up at the Applebee's, get one of them little, private rooms, and everybody have fun. That's what we're going to do. It's just too many of y'all. Now, I can imagine where jealousy is going to come into play. So that's an emotional challenge, like I mentioned earlier, among the wives especially. So you got to have effective communication and conflict resolution. And I know you got to have that like on site. On site. I can only imagine how many arguments among all the wives, or even among all the husbands, that take place in a shared household. That's a lot. Now, what are the rules and the regulations? Let's talk about the legal status of polygamy around the world. Now, it's illegal in all 50 states of these here United States. So all states have laws that prohibit polygamy. And they're typically defining marriage as a union between just two people, and you can't go outside those two people legally marrying somebody else. That's already on the books. Now, polygamy does come with penalties. Don't be thinking that, since we got this and we're getting under the law. But if you found out, you're going to be paying some money. They penalties from state to state vary. They include fines, imprisonment, maybe even both. Some may consider it as a misdemeanor, but since it's like banned in pretty much every state, yeah, they 9 times out of 10 gonna list that as a felony. Now, some religions, this is just a norm, like Islam, Mormons, and in African traditional religions. That polygamy is accepted, it's practiced as a cultural norm. But there are certain rules, like I said earlier. That's the main thing that I see as a rule, is that you can't have more than 4 wives. That's about it. So there are different ways that most people that are in these modern times practicing polygamy, and most religious communities are still participating in polygamy. Like I said, Mormons, there are Muslim communities, there are also cultural practices in Africa, Western countries that are spiritual, or they have informal polygamy. Now, even if it is a spiritual or informal polygamy situation, it's still illegal. But more and more of these individuals are practicing it through spiritual or informal ceremonies without being legally recognized. So that brother I mentioned earlier, that he didn't want to have anything that he had with his women on paper, that's what he's doing. So these arrangements are typically very discreet. That's what I could not understand once I started doing research on this topic, that this brother was on a social media platform live talking about his lifestyle. I'm like, dude, see, this is where we have dumb criminals. He was a prime example of dumb criminals. So, if I wanted to be petty, yeah, that you're putting yourself out there for trouble. So stop it. So along with the legal repercussions, you're also going to have social challenges. I can only think of so many. Number one, I'm thinking, first of all, family format. Like, how you gonna come home to, tell your mom and pops that you got like 5 wives? I mean, that just runs in my head. But that includes all these social challenges that polygamous relationships are gonna have to face. Because, like I said, I do know of some people on social media that practice polygamy. But at the same time, there is an impact on the community. Like, of course, it does raise visibility. And I think that's why I'm seeing more and more men who are not qualified to be in a polygamous situation talk about it. Please do more research. So it is getting more social awareness on these platforms. There's more information as far as educating yourself so you can know if it's legal. We all know it's illegal, but still, you could find out what your options are, the cultural impact, and the religious aspects of it. So everything's a lot more accessible, so you can dispel all the myths about a polygamous lifestyle. And also, most of these communities are online because with polygamy being illegal, they all resource together, bond together, and get legal advice, relationship counseling. These are tailored to that lifestyle. Now, polygamy's got some activism going on out here in these streets. There are groups that are using social media to campaign to decriminalize or acceptance of a polygamous relationship, raising awareness about the challenges that, these type of relationships face, the visibility, leveraging these social media platforms, promoting greater to acceptance and understanding. That's what they really want, because nobody wants to have, all 5 wives out at a movie with all their kids with one man and be stared at. Nobody wants that. I'm sorry, but that's pretty much what you're going to get out here in these streets, because people do not recognize that as a norm. And today, with people being so damn judgmental, you got to worry about privacy and the stigma you're going to have on your household, because the exposure through social media is going to include a lot of scrutiny. And like I said earlier, legal issues. If somebody just don't like the way you live, and don't think people are not paid enough to call the police. Trust me, they'll do it. So the social stigma for individuals in polygamous relationships, I know it's got to be a little tedious. And then, people get misinformation. Just like these men that are going around here talking about, I can have a polygamous relationship. No, you can't. You need to read the general rule book. You do not qualify whatsoever. So I'm hoping that everybody now has a better understanding of a polygamous relationship, of this being a multiple partner situation, that everybody has a role in this situation, especially these men that keep talking about these relationships. You better come with real estate for every last wife you want to bring to the house. You buy one a car, you got to buy all a car. the women, y'all got to get along, support each other, and you have to make sure that the house is on lock, like it's clean. Somebody's cooking dinner, somebody's doing the laundry, somebody's making sure the kids are good. Lot of multiple roles in that. So I just want to make sure I discuss this so now we can stop wondering, oh, what's a polygamous lifestyle? Now you know. Now you know. So I don't want to hear no nonsense from these men talking about this no more. So make sure you tune in next episode because I want to talk about something I am definitely seeing more and more on social media, and that's the cult of influence. Yeah, we're going to dive into the hidden world of social media obsession. What I mean by social media obsession, besides getting on your app every 5 seconds, people who are captivated by their favorite influencers. Have you ever seen these people? They're like zombies. They go too far sometimes just to prove their loyalty. So I want you guys to tune in next week when we have this eye-opening journey. We're going to look into this world of social media cults, and we're going to explore the experience of online cults. How do they form? What makes them magnetic? And is it a psychological pull? You got to think about that. Are some of these cults psychological pulls because you want to know what kind of people become obsessed with an online personality? And you're going to discover shocking stories of fan-based cults going on to dangerous lengths to show their devotion. And is there any hope for these people? Can they break free and take some practical steps on how to separate, from this online cult? Reclaim your life. It is okay to live your life without a cult. Tune in as we unravel the allure and dangers of social media cults, revealing the hidden dynamics behind their digital obsessions. So it's going to be a real good conversation. Now, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. But you can also support us by going to Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is a platform where you can help us keep great content coming to you. So just go to buymeacoffee.com/talk to me Michele. Oh, it's all right there. So make sure you follow me also on Instagram. That's Talk to Me Michele. And if you didn't know, we just got added to iHeart Podcast. So yeah, officially now on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart Podcast Network. Thank you guys again for tuning in with me. I appreciate your support. So I will see you next time. Peace.
Talk to me, Michele.
Are you looking to increase your brand awareness and gain new prospects? Our audience would love to hear from you. The Talk to Me Michele podcast offers sponsor packages designed to put your brand in front of our engaged and loyal listeners. Every time we get a partnering with us means your message reaches a dedicated audience that trusts our recommendations. It's a fantastic way to build brand awareness and connect with potential customers. As our podcast continues to grow, so does your opportunity to reach more listeners. Our tailored sponsorship packages ensure you get the best value and maximum exposure. Become a sponsor today and be part of a vibrant and dynamic podcast community. Let's work together to achieve your marketing goals. Ready to get started? Email us at talktomemichele@gmail.com to learn more about our sponsorship opportunities. Thank you for considering a partnership with our podcast. We look forward to promoting your brand.